Hi, welcome to Vlogentines number 8. I'm Donna from In a Pickle Knitting. I'm here today with a children's literature book for Valentine's Day and a Valentine's Day craft and some Valentine's food. So let's get started with the book. I want to first tell you about this book, which will not seem very much like Valentine's Day. This book is called The Biggest Pumpkin Ever, written by Stephen Kroll, illustrated by Jenny Bassett. I have shared this book before, I think in Vlogtober once. I did the series, and I believe I shared this book. This is a book that has an inscription in it. It was actually written in 1984, but this says, "To Erin, Halloween 1988 from Mommy and Daddy." So this was a gift in 1988 to my daughter, and this book has been read many times to her and also to my students in school and then to my grandson. And it's the story of two little mice, and they well, I won't tell that whole story, but anyway, it's a very cute excuse me, jeez. It's a very good Halloween story. But the same team has worked together this time, Stephen Kroll and Jenny Bassett, to write The Biggest Valentine Ever. So this was written in 2006, so they had quite a long gap there between the biggest ever books, but it's a wonderful collaboration between author and illustrator. And this is the story of Clayton and Desmond, who became friends in The Biggest Pumpkin Ever. And they're in elementary school, and they are making Valentines in class, and they decide to work together to make a Valentine for Mrs. Mousley. But trouble ensues as it doesn't come out quite how they wanted, and they start blaming each other. Well, you did too much glitter, and you put too many hearts. And so they have a little tiff, and they're angry, and in that tiff, the Valentine gets ripped apart. Each of the little mice goes home that night and talks to their parents about it, and the parents suggest, or the significant adults in their home suggest, that they would probably do a better job working together, so give it a try. But both boys go up and try to do a Valentine on their own, and they're not happy with what happens either, because they both have skills the other doesn't have. So next day, they're on the school bus, and they do not sit near one another, but getting off the bus, one trips and the other falls over him, and they start to talk and decide, we think we'd make a better Valentine together. So they do get busy making the biggest Valentine ever. And each one uses their skills. One is better at cutting, and the other's better at gluing. And then they actually add this cute little face, and I'm thinking, and maybe others would be too, oh, that's the back of their Valentine. But indeed it is not, because they put several hearts together there to make a mouse out of hearts, which I think is just adorable. And then on the back of it, they add a little lace doily around the edge, and then write "Happy Valentine's Day to Mrs. Mousley. We love you, Clayton and Desmond." And it made a lovely Valentine. So I really like this about working together, that sometimes it is hard to work together, and we will blame one another when things go wrong. It's always the other person's fault, but that we actually can produce more working together than we can working apart. So really cute story, The Biggest Valentine Ever. For craft today, well, maybe first I'll share the food thing that I was talking about. I have made a Valentine charcuterie board, but it's actually on a plastic plate that I purchased very inexpensively, under about $2. And I was copying a charcuterie that I had seen done on an Instagram that I follow. This Instagram is Cheers and Chews, and it is created by a friend of my daughter's. It is a hobby of hers, but you would think it was her full-time job, because she makes the most beautiful boards. And if you go over and follow her, you can look back at some of the ones that she's made. She has some little Instagram feeds where she's putting it together, and I am in awe of her. Well, I saw one she'd done for Valentine's with hearts, and I thought, I'm going to try to do that. We were going over to see my daughter, son-in-law, and my grandson yesterday, and I thought, I will put that together. Well, I didn't quite get what she had, but I did get some elements of what she did in there, and it was enjoyed by all. So I will put a picture here. I mostly wanted to make that rose. This was hearts and roses, and well, really one rose, hearts and rose. And the rose is made out of salami, and she even said on her Instagram feed that you could use a little ramekin or something. So that's what I did. I started with a larger one that was clear, and it wasn't looking quite as good. I needed it to scrunch up, so I put it in a smaller one, which happened to be blue around the outside. Hopefully, I don't think my picture showed much blue there. But I cut my strawberries with a heart cookie cutter, and I cut the cheese, but the cheese was a very dry cheese, and it was really crumbly, so I didn't get too, I ended up slicing it, but I have a few hearts there that managed to survive my cuts into it. I also made some heart-shaped macarons. These were colored red, and then I made a raspberry buttercream frosting for the filling. So a few of those are on there, and I'll also put a picture of just the tray of the heart-shaped macarons. If you'd like to make some heart-shaped macarons, I will put on the screen here or below. It's actually easier for me to put on the screen because I have to remember things at 2 different times. It's easier to remember now. So it's probably, I'll just put it here, but this is actually a tutorial that's on YouTube, so you can, there's a lot of them out there. I've watched many of them, but this is the particular one that I did follow. And I actually decided to use her recipe, though I've tried many recipes before. I did like this one a lot, and so I'll put how to get to her, and she has a blog, and you can download her recipe and all of her directions. It's like 4 typed pages, and she has a template for making the heart shape. So I may have thrown in a couple pictures there of when I was making them and piping in that heart shape. For me, all of my hearts tended to be larger on one side than the other, and I should have tried to do opposites, because then when you try to turn one over and put it against, it's a little wonky, but that's to be expected, and that's okay. Can't think right now what else I did on there. There were some Dove heart chocolates, and I made 2 different crackers, which were a little soft. They should have been rolled a little bit more thinly. I did those from it's a Paul Hollywood recipe, and you're able to watch on the Great British Baking Show or Great British Bake Off, whichever they have. They're on a master class. It's in the very first set of master classes, the very first episode of those master classes, where he shows you how to make the dough and then divide it into 2, and in one half of the dough you put poppy seeds. We found that a little bland, or I in particular found it bland. I think if I made it, when I make it again, because I will, we liked the other part, which was Parmesan cheese, sun-dried tomato paste in it, and sesame seeds sprinkled on top. Those had more flavor for us, so I did cut those out as hearts. So that was my food. And I think of food as crafting. I think that's the only cooking I like to do. It has to have some kind of crafting sort of element to it, where you're trying to create something other than just nourishment. So my craft for today, my actual craft, is making a felt ornament. Now, those who've watched any of my other vlogs may think, gee, that looks awfully similar to something else that I made, and in fact it is the very same pattern. A few years ago I did a Vlogmas for 12 Days of Christmas, and during that Vlogmas I was making felt ornaments from MMM Crafts, and this goes with the 12th ornament, which is 12 in her series. It's 12 Lords a Leaping. And so here is the pattern, and you'll see there is a heart. I think I did mine in this colorway, but I actually gave that set of ornaments away, so I'd have to go back and dig around for the videos and see how I made mine. I think I did it pink, but I did this one with dark pink on the outside and light pink in the middle. And let me explain about these patterns. They're the most wonderful felt patterns because it's embroidery, and I struggle with embroidery. I like cross stitch because you have a hole to put that thread through, you know right where it's supposed to go. But with embroidery, you know, you're doing a lot of judgment, and I don't like that because I don't find I'm very good at keeping things looking symmetrical or really precise and neat. But with these, her patterns are wonderful because you print her patterns on this sticky fabric solvent. It's called Sulky Sticky Fabri Solvi. And it's printable, so you print the pattern pieces on it. So here is the pattern piece. And you'll see it actually has enough to make 2 hearts. Well, so I had printed it, made the heart to go with my Lord of Leaping, and I had the extra, so I made this heart from it. Then I decided I actually want to make 2 more, so I printed the sheet out again. This is printed on here, so you can see it's, well, you probably can't, but anyway, it's been printed on here. It doesn't look as dark as the pattern because it ends up on this. And it would be ideal if you did not use an inkjet printer. However, that is what I use because sometimes this ink can come off on your floss because you have to wet it, and it doesn't really seem to impact any of the colors except white. And mine, it did, I don't know if you can tell, just a little bit, but it's okay. It's okay, totally. So I am making a second one here, and this time I have reversed where the center was light on that one. This time the center will be dark. So you press these pattern pieces off, just cut each one as you need it, and press it onto your 100% felt that has been pre-shrunk. And then there is the outside piece. Now this I would not have needed anything because I'm not going to stitch number 12. That's for the ornament that goes with the Lord of Leaping. But I'm just did that, well, I mean, I had to do it so that I could cut the heart out perfectly because that gives you your pattern cut out. But I just wanted to show you once you're done with one that you don't have to stitch on, then it just peels off. So there's my back, and I didn't need to stitch on this one. Now, if you need to stitch on it, as I do the other 2, you leave it on. I have taken the running stitch here, and I've gone where she has marked to go. I don't have to judge how far apart to put my stitches, and that's what I love about it. But at this point, what I would do is cut out the heart, and then you soak it in water for about 15 minutes, and this dissolves and comes away, and then you just dry the piece that's behind it. I'm gonna, at the end of the video, I'm going to film this soaking and then me getting the stuff off of it. And perhaps I can even do that with this one. So this one has more detail to it, and I will make a second one, and I do have enough to make a third one. So I wish I had some red felt because I would like to do a red and white one, but I don't have red. And I can't buy this locally. It's wool felt. It's not the acrylic felt that you buy at the craft stores. So I would have to order it, and just needing 1 sheet, I'm probably not going to do that. But I have saved the pattern piece and may be able to do that. While I'm on the subject of the MMM crafts, she has the 12 Days of Christmas, which actually makes 14 different ornaments, or 15 different ornaments, because the partridge and pear tree, it's 2, and then with the geese laying, there's an egg along with the goose laying, and then with the last one, there's the Lord of Leaping, and there's the heart. So you actually end up with 15 ornaments. But now, I just found the other day, she has some more Christmas themed ornaments as patterns available, and I have lots of leftover felt. So I'm going to be making those. There's a Mr. and Mrs. Santa Claus that are very different looking. Not, the red suit kind of Santa. A very nice looking Santa and Mrs. Santa. And then there is an Ebenezer Scrooge, and I forgot which of the other characters from A Christmas Carol there is. And there are 2 little elves. So I'm going to be making those this year. And if you watch the regular podcast, I hope by Christmas I will be sharing those with you, because I would like to make that set and make myself a set of the 12 Days of Christmas, because I did give those to my parents. So I would like to have a set for myself. Let's see, did I have anything else today? I don't think so. Sharing the food, the craft and our book today. So thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate all of you who are out there watching and you leaving me nice comments and liking the videos. I really appreciate that. It kind of makes my day. And I will see you again tomorrow with another book and another craft. Bye.